Hello, my name is Claudia, and I'm here to talk about the book We Were 8 Years in Power, an American Tragedy, written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. We Were 8 Years in Power focuses mainly on white supremacy throughout the history of America and Barack Obama's presidency. The book has 8 articles, one for each year of Obama's presidency, that have themes such as slavery, the truth about the Civil War, Obama's refusal to talk about race, and many others that I'm going to talk. In order to you understand better this book, I'm going to do a summary of each chapter, sharing to you what I think are the main points. So, in the first chapter, the author explains that during Obama's presidency, many black writers and speakers rose, giving a voice to black Americans. However, it made possible for people like Bill Cosby to rise too. Some of you may be thinking, who is this man, right? He is a man that decided to preach to black community about discipline, personal responsibility, and many other things, but in a very wrong way. He attacked African Americans multiple times. For example, he criticized black Americans for giving African names to their kids, claiming that they were not Africans. The second chapter is a profile of Michelle Obama. The author expected a life story with slave narratives and black oppression, but instead he heard a story about her mom, a story that lauded the place of women in American society. Moreover, Michelle talked about her childhood and she says she was never aware of her blackness while growing up because she did it in a black community, where being black is normal. Here, the author emphasized the changes black people do when they leave their communities. They choose to distance themselves from the blackness and adopt the ways of white society. The next chapter is about slavery and the Civil War. If you want to know the truth about the Civil War, this is the chapter that you have to read. Back then, in the 19th century, the soldier was an example of masculinity and citizenship, so, due to that, they didn't accept black people as soldiers because of their inferiority. The fourth chapter is about the man that played an important role in the shaping of African American consciousness. He was an African American right defender. Indeed, he was the man that used the word black with pride, asking black Americans to embrace their blackness. We can compare Malcolm X to Obama. First, both speeches to black audiences were filled with exhortation to self-creation. Lastly, Malcolm found his ambitions cut off while Obama became a lawyer and president. For me, the fifth chapter is essential to the whole book and the most informative. It is in this chapter that we have an explanation of why the Americans feared a black president. To start, having a black president was unthinkable and even seen as a joke. But the truth is that Obama was elected president. His presidency contributed to grow the black citizens' confidence, which brought out people's fear of black supremacy. It's important to mention it was during his presidency that the country faced the most serious racial conflicts. The author gives two examples of black citizens that were killed by the police just because the authorities suspected of a crime due to their skin color, a crime they didn't commit. I'm talking about Trayvon Martin and Prince Jones. Feel free to look for more information on these unfair cases. In the sixth chapter, the author gives arguments to convince the reader of why America should compensate black Americans for the racial atrocities of the past. The next chapter compares the criminalization of black and white Americans. In here, we get to a conclusion that it's clearly racial made. Black Americans are locked up at a higher rate than whites. Today, a black neighborhood is more policed than a white one. This naturally leads to higher rates of incarcerations because if there are more police officers, crime is clearly more likely to be detected. The last chapter revealed Obama's background. in an attempt to compare to the following president, Donald Trump. The conclusion we can get out of this is that the election of Trump is a sign of the racist reaction which happened during Obama's presidency. To end my presentation, I'm showing these 3 quotes from the book. In my opinion, these quotes have the main points of the entire book. So, I want you to read them and think about it.